All right. This is a little write-up I prepared. Biden is not a progressive. In fact, he embodies the most reactionary elements within the Democratic Party and has throughout his career been a tool and a representative of the capitalist class. Biden opposed busing in the 1970s to desegregate public schools. Biden pushed for tough on crime bills in the 1980s and 90s, which have led to mass incarceration. He has throughout his career spoken in favor of slashing Social Security. 87% of Democrats support Medicare for all. Joe Biden doesn't, and has even stated in March of 2020 that he would, as president, veto a Medicare for all bill if it passed both houses and reached his desk. Biden does not support the Green New Deal. In 2005, Biden voted for the Bankruptcy Abuse Prevention and Consumer Protection Act, which made it almost impossible for borrowers to get the traditional clean slate Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Instead, the law subjected them to the far harsher provisions of Chapter 13, which effectively turned borrowers into indentured servants of institutions like the credit card companies. As a senator in 1994, Biden voted for the North American Free Trade Agreement, known as by the acronym NAFTA, which resulted in the loss of 682,900 US jobs by 2010. Biden was among 90 senators who supported the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act of 1999. The act repealed the Glass-Steagall legislation that severed investment banking from commercial banking, thereby permitting the combined operations to gamble with depositors' money, leading to the 2008 economic crisis. Worst of all, Joe Biden has favored every major war since the 1970s. On October 11th, 2002, he was one of 77 senators to authorize the use of military force in Iraq. And despite the fact that Iraq had no weapons of mass destruction, no connection to Al-Qaeda or the September 11th attacks, and posed no threat to the United States. But Biden did more than just vote for the war. When the war was debated and then authorized by the US Congress in 2002, Democrats controlled the Senate and Biden was chair of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. As chair, Biden argued strongly in favor of 2002 resolution granting President Bush the authority to invade Iraq. The invasion of Iraq was a crime of historic proportions against a sovereign nation, which the US knowingly and deliberately committed in order to steal Iraq's vast oil reserves. The invasion of Iraq resulted in the deaths of more than 1 million Iraqi people and the complete devastation of Iraqi society. To summarize, Biden has throughout his career exclusively served big business, and there is no reason to think that this late in his life and his career, he will have a change of heart. With him and Nancy Pelosi leading the Democratic Party, the American working class will be left out in the cold to fend for itself, struggling against a pandemic and economic depression. The progressive and socialist left must resist the Biden administration passionately and relentlessly to provide an alternative to the Trumpist right.
Thank you. That you put it very, very well. Biden he had to stop his '94 campaign because he was caught lying about his history of the civil rights movement. He had to stop his presidential campaign in the '90s because he was caught lying about being part of the civil rights movement. He was known as a senator from IBM. I'm not sure if I'm being too loud. How this guy not only was selected by Obama, but won the Democratic nomination without any of that being brought up by the mainstream media, by the national news, or it's just a terrible indictment on not only the media, but the Democratic electorate. People should know more about this guy. And it's a damn tragedy that he was picked. I don't know if you guys want to keep talking about his legacy.
When you look into him, it's nasty. It's nasty. And with all of the appointments that he's making to his administration, it's like just an overt rebuke of the progressive wing of the party. Just overt, like with Neera Tanden. Like he's just spitting in the face of Bernie supporters,
He eulogized Strom Thurmond, the segregationist.
Yeah.
He likes segregationists more than he likes progressives.
I agree.
If Strom Thurmond was alive and like 20, 30 years younger, Biden might put him in the cabinet. And I'm completely serious.
Well, he's appointing John Kasich and other cretins like him, other failure wash-ups, rather than reach out to AOC, who is one of the most dynamic and popular politicians in America right now. He'd rather reach out across the aisle to these washed-up loser Republicans. It's pathetic.
Well, the establishment of the Democratic Party showed very clearly that they would rather lose to Trump than to have Bernie win, than to have a true progressive win. They're representatives of the ruling class, pure and simple. Joe Biden has been for his whole life. He sold out the working class and people of color his whole life. While now he likes to pretend that he's somehow progressive. And like Cody said, he's spitting in the face of progressives with his appointments. For budget, I mean, the woman's terrible. I mean, she's been the head of the major neoliberal think tank for years, and they're totally funded by the rich. And of course, they serve the rich. Biden's been funded by the rich, and he'll serve the rich. He has for all of his life. And like Cody says, he's not going to change at the end of his life. I mean, whatever mental acuity he has left, his soul's not going to change. He's not going to change who he's been. He's going to be our enemy. He'll try to appear
open about his dishonesty too. He's open about the negatives, about his perspectives, and in a way, I almost respect that. If that's weird, it's a weird thought.
Yeah.
It's weird, but
wait, straighten me out on that. What is it you respect?
well, his honesty about knowing that his perspective or his view is bad. If he has a bad point of view on something, he will just tell you, this is my point of view, and I understand it's bad.
I think it's interesting.
Early on in the primary, he was still against busing. Still in 2020.
That's crazy.
Still against busing, and how he should have gotten way more shit. I mean, we'll have to edit that out. He should. I can't get over how people just didn't give him crap about still being against busing, about lying 2 weeks before. I mean, like a couple days before the South Carolina debate. He lied about getting arrested in South Africa for trying to visit Nelson Mandela in prison. And it was obviously debunked, and no one talked about it. No one in the debate, none of the moderators. It was covered for the mainstream media for about a minute. And it just,
those debates were setups. Those debates were setups against Bernie. I mean, very often the questioners were people with anti-Bernie backgrounds and connections. I mean, they were rigged debates, just like the whole system is rigged.
Now Bernie,
just Biden's history of overt lies in public in any reasonable society would be enough to disqualify you. Find somebody that at least, but on both parties, the main actors, they're all liars. And the media is full of lies and lies about the liars, or fails to tell us the truth about the liars.
They don't want to shake the boat because it's their boat, and they've profited immensely from the way we do things. And they like the system. It works out for them. They're comfy.